Thank you again for joining us. We are reading from the Complete Jewish Bible, which is a translation of the Hebrew Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9, Sheba. Hear, Israel, Adonai our God, Adonai is one, and you're to love Adonai your God with all your heart, all your being, and all your resources. These words which I am ordering you today are to be on your heart, and you're to teach them carefully to your children. You're to talk about them when you sit at home, when you're traveling on the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign, put them at the front of a headband around your forehead, and write them on the doorframes of your house and your gates. Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 14, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us the food we need today. Forgive us what we have done wrong, as we too have forgiven those who have wronged us. And do not lead us into hard testing, but keep us safe from the evil one. For kingship, power, and glory are yours forever. Amen. We're on Exodus chapter 9. Then Adonai said to Moshe, Go to Pharaoh and tell him, Here is what Adonai, the God of the Hebrews, says. Let my people go, so that they can worship me. If you refuse to let them go and persist in holding on to them, the hand of Adonai is on your livestock in the field, on the horses, donkeys, camels, cattle, and flocks, and will make them suffer a devastating illness. But Adonai will distinguish between Egypt's and Israel's livestock. Nothing belonging to the people of Israel will die. Adonai determined the exact time by saying, Tomorrow Adonai will do this in the land. The following day Adonai did it. All the livestock of Egypt died, but not one of the animals belonging to the people of Israel died. Pharaoh investigated and found that not even one of the animals of the people of Israel had died. Nevertheless, Pharaoh's heart remained stubborn, and he did not let the people go. Adonai said to Moshe and Aaron, Take handfuls of ashes from a kiln, and let Moshe throw them in the air before Pharaoh's eyes. They will turn into fine dust over all the land of Egypt, and become infected sores on men and animals throughout Egypt. So they took ashes from a kiln, stood in front of Pharaoh, and threw them in the air, and they became infected sores on men and animals. The magicians could not even stand in Moshe's presence because of the sores, which were on them as well as on the other Egyptians. But Adonai made Pharaoh hard-hearted, so that he did not listen to them, just as Adonai had said to Moshe. Adonai said to Moshe, Get up early in the morning, stand before Pharaoh, and say to him, Here is what Adonai says, Let my people go so that they can worship me. For this time I will inflict my plagues on you, yourself, and all your officials and your people, so that you will realize that I am without equal in all the earth. By now I would have stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with such severe plagues that you would have been wiped off the earth. But it is for this very reason that I have kept you alive, to show you my power, and so that my name may resound throughout the whole earth, since you are still setting yourself up against my people and not letting them go. Tomorrow about this time I will cause a hailstorm so heavy that Egypt has had nothing like it from the day it was founded until now. Therefore send and hurry to bring indoors all your livestock and everything else you have in the field, for hail will fall on every human being and animal left in the field that has not been brought home, and they will die. Whoever among Pharaoh's servants feared what Adonai had said had his slaves and livestock escape into their houses. But those who had no regard for what Adonai had said, left their slaves and livestock in the field. Adonai said to Moshe, Reach out your hand toward the sky so that there will be hail in all the land of Egypt, falling on people, animals, and everything growing in the field throughout the land of Egypt. Moshe reached out with his staff toward the sky, And Adonai sent thunder and hail, and fire ran down the earth. Adonai caused it to hail on the land of Egypt. It hailed and fire flashed up with the hail. It was terrible, worse than any hailstorm in all of Egypt since it became a nation. Throughout all the land of Egypt, the hail struck everything in the field, people and animals, and the hail struck every plant growing in the field and broke every tree. But in the land of Goshen, where the people of Israel were, there was no hail. Pharaoh summoned Moshe and Aaron and said to them, "This time I have sinned. Adonai is in the right, and I and my people are in the wrong. Intercede with Adonai. We cannot take any more of this terrible thunder and hail, and I will let you go. You will stay no longer." Moshe said to him, "As soon as I have gone out of the city, I will spread out my hands to Adonai. The thunder will end and there will not be any more hail, so that you can know that the earth belongs to Adonai. But you and your servants, I know you still will not fear Adonai God. The flax and barley were ruined because the barley was ripe and the flax in bud. But the wheat and buckwheat were not ruined because they come up later." Moshe went out of the city away from Pharaoh and spread out his hands to Adonai. The thunder and hail ended, and the rain stopped pouring down on the earth. When Pharaoh saw that the rain, hail, and thunder had ended, he sinned still more by making himself hard-hearted, he and his servants. Pharaoh was made hard-hearted, and he did not let the people of Israel go, just as Adonai had said through Moshe. 1 Samuel chapter 14. One day, Jonathan, the son of Shaul, said to a young man carrying his armor, "Come, let us go across the garrison of the Philistine on the other side." But he did not tell his father. Shaul was waiting at the far edge of Giv'ah under the pomegranate tree in Migron. The force with him numbered about 600 men. Achiyah, the son of Achitub the first, Kivah's brother, the son of Pinchas, the son of Eli, the Kohen of Adonai in Shiloh, was carrying a ritual vest. No one knew that Jonathan had gone. Between the passes by which Jonathan was trying to cross to the garrison of the Philistine, there was a rocky spur on one side and another rocky spur on the other side. The name of the one was Batsets, and the other Seneh. The one spur rose up on the north in front of Michmas, and the other on the south in front of Giv'ah. Jonathan said to his armor bearer, "Come on, let us go across the garrison of these uncircumcised people. Maybe Adonai will do something for us, since Adonai can rescue with a few people as easily as with many." His armor bearer replied, "Do everything you think you should. I am with you, whatever you decide." Jonathan said, "Here, we'll cross over to those men and let them know we're there. If they say, 'Wait till we come to you,' we'll stand still where we are and not go up to them. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' we'll go up, and that will be the sign that Adonai has given us victory over them." So both of them let their presence be known to the garrison of the Philistine, and the Philistines said, "Look, some Hebrews coming out of the holes they've been hiding in." Then the men of the garrison said to Jonathan and his armor-bearer, "Come up to us, we want to show you something." Jonathan told his armor-bearer, "Come on up after me, for Adonai has handed them over to Israel." Jonathan climbed up using his hands as well as his feet, with his armor-bearer behind him. The Philistine fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer following him finished them off. That first slaughter of about 20 men was accomplished by Jonathan and his armor-bearer in a space only half as long as one side of the area a pair of oxen could plow in a day, about 200 yards. There was panic in the field camp among all the Philistines. Likewise, the garrison and the raiding party panicked. Besides all this, there was an earthquake Thus it grew into panic caused by God. Shaul's men on the watch in Givat Benjamin could see the enemy camp scattering and running in all directions. Shaul ordered the forces with him to call the roll and see who was missing. So they called the roll and found Jonathan and his armor-bearer not present. Shaul told Achiah, "Bring the ark of God here," for at that time the ark of God was with the people of Israel. But while Shaul was talking to the Cohen, the uproar in the camp of the Philistine continued and kept getting louder. Shaul said to the Cohen, "Put your hand down." Shaul and the entire force with him assembled and went to battle. But they found the Philistines all fighting against each other in utter confusion. The Hebrews from the surrounding countryside, who had previously been with the Philistine and had gone up with them into camp, deserted and went over to Israel with Shaul and Jonathan. Likewise, on hearing that the Philistines were fleeing, all the men of Israel who had hidden themselves in the hills of Ephraim pursued them in battle. So Adonai saved Israel that day, and the battle spread as far as Beit Aven. Israel's soldiers had been driven to exhaustion that day, but Shaul issued this warning to the people: "A curse on any man who eats any food until evening, when I will have finished taking vengeance on my enemies." So none of the people even tasted food. Now the people came to a forest where there was a honeycomb on the ground. When the people had entered the forest, they saw there the honeycomb with honey dripping out, but no one put his hand to his mouth because the people feared the oath. But Jonathan had not heard his father charging the people with the oath. So he put out the end of the staff in his hand, dipped it in the honeycomb, and raised it to his mouth, whereupon his eyes lit up. But one of the people said in response, "Your father strictly charged the people with an oath, a curse on any man who eats any food today, even though the people are fainting with hunger." Jonathan answered, "My father has brought trouble to the land. Just look how many eyes have lit up because I tasted a little of this honey. How much greater would the slaughter of the Philistines have been today than if the people had eaten freely of the spoil they found with their enemies." That day they had attacked the Philistine from Michmas to Ayalon, but the people were very exhausted. So the people rushed at the spoil, seizing sheep, cows, and calves, slaughtering them on the ground and eating the flesh with the blood. Shaul was told, "Look how the people are sitting against Adonai, eating with the blood." He said, "You have not kept faith. Roll a big stone to me immediately." Now Shaul said, "Go around among the people and tell them, each of you is to bring his cow and his sheep and slaughter them here. Then eat. Do not sin against Adonai by eating with blood." So each person brought his animal with him that evening and killed it there. Shaul erected an altar to Adonai. It was the first altar that he had erected to Adonai. Shaul said, "Let us go after the Philistine by night. We will plunder them until dawn. We will not leave one of them alive." They answered, "Do whatever seems good to you." But the Cohen had said, "Let us approach God here." Shaul consulted God, "Should I go down in pursuit of the Philistine? Will you hand them over to Israel?" But he did not answer him that day. Shaul said, "Come here, all you heads of people. Think carefully who has committed this sin today. For as Adonai Israel's deliverer lives, even if it proves to be Jonathan my son, he must be put to death." But no one among all the people answered him. Then he said to all Israel, "You be on one side, and I and Jonathan my son will be on the other side." The people replied to Shaul, "Do what seems good to you." Shaul said to Adonai, the God of Israel, "Who is right?" Jonathan and Shaul were chosen by lot, and the people went free. Shaul said, "Cast lots between me and Jonathan, my son." Jonathan was chosen. Then Shaul said to Jonathan, "Tell me what you did." Jonathan told him, "Yes, I tasted a little honey with the end of the staff of my hand. Here I am, I'm ready to die." Shaul said, "May God do the same to me and more also, if you are not put to death, Jonathan." But the people said to Shaul, "Must Jehonathan die? Who has accomplished this great deliverance in Israel? Heaven forbid! As Adonai lives, not one hair of his head will fall to the ground, because he worked with God today." In this way the people rescued Jehonathan, so that he did not die. Then Shaul stopped pursuing the Philistine, and the Philistine returned to their territory. So Shaul took over the rulership of Israel. He fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, the people of Ammon, Edom, and the kings of Tovah and the Philistine. No matter which way he turned, he defeated them. He demonstrated his strength by attacking Amalek, and he saved Israel from the power of those who were plundering them. The sons of Shaul were Jehonathan, Jishvi, and Malchishua, while the names of his two daughters were these: the name of the older Merav, and the younger Michal. Shaul's wife was named Achinoam, the daughter of Achimaaz. The commander of his army was named Avner, the son of Ner, Shaul's uncle. Kish was the father of Shaul, and Ner, the father of Avner, was the son of Abiel. As long as Shaul lived, there was a bitter war against the Philistine. Whenever Shaul saw any strong or courageous man, he recruited him into his service. Psalms chapter 59. By David, when Shaul sent men to keep watch on David's house in order to kill him. My God, rescue me from my enemies. Lift me up out of reach of my foes. Rescue me from the evildoers. Save me from the bloodthirsty men, for there they are lying in wait to kill me. Openly they gather themselves against me, and not because I committed a crime or sinned, Adonai. For no fault of mine they run and prepare, awaken to help me, and see. You, Adonai, Eloi, Savot, God of Israel, arouse yourself to punish all the nations. Spare none of those wicked traitors. They return at nightfall, snarling like dogs as they go around the city. Look what pours out of their mouth, what swords are on their lips, and as they say to themselves, no one is listening anyway. But you, Adonai, laugh at them, you mock all the nations. My strength I will watch for you, for God is my fortress. God who gives me grace will come to me. God will let me gaze in triumph at my foes. Do not kill them, or my people will forget. Instead, by your power, make them wander to and fro, but bring them down, Adonai, our shield, for the sins their mouths make with each word from their lips. Let them be trapped by their pride, for their curses and falsehoods, for the curses and falsehoods they utter. Finish them off in wrath. Finish them off, put an end to them, and let them know to the ends of the earth that God is ruler in Jacob. They return at nightfall, snarling like dogs as they go around the city. They roam about looking for food, prowling at night if they do not get their fill. But as for me, I will sing of your strength. In the morning I will sing aloud of your grace, for you are my fortress, a refuge when I am in trouble. My strength, I will sing praises to you, for God is my fortress, God who gives me grace. Now we're in Luke chapter 15. The tax collectors and sinners kept gathering around to hear Joshua, and the Parashim and Torah teachers kept grumbling. This fellow, they said, welcomes sinners. He even eats with them. So he told them this parable. If one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them, does he not leave the other 99 in the desert and go after the lost one until he finds it? When he does find it, he joyfully hoists it onto his shoulder, and when he gets home, he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, "Come, celebrate with me because I have found my lost sheep." I tell you that in the same way, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who turns to God from his sins than over 99 righteous people who have no need to repent. Another example. What woman, if she has 10 drachmas and loses one of these valuable coins, will not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search all over until she finds it. And when she does find it, she calls her friends and neighbors together and says, "Come celebrate with me because I have found the drachma I lost." In the same way, I'll tell you, there is joy among God's angels when one sinner repents. Again, Joshua said, "A man had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the estate that will be mine.' So the father divided the property between them. As soon as he could convert his share into cash, the younger son left home and went off to a distant country where he squandered his money in reckless living. But after he had spent it all, a severe famine arose throughout the country, and he began to feel the pinch. So he went and attached himself to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into the fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the carob pods the pigs were eating, but no one gave him any. At last he came to his senses and said, "Any number of my father's hired workers have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. I'm going to get up and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired workers.' So he got up and started back to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was moved with pity. He ran and threw his arms around him, kissed him warmly. His son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But his father said to his slaves, 'Quick, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him, and put a ring on his finger and shoes on his feet. Bring the calf that has been fattened up and kill it. Let us eat and have a celebration. For this son of mine was dead, but now he's alive again. He was lost, but now he has been found.' And they began celebrating. Now his older son was in the field. As he came close to the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked, 'What is going on?' The servant told him, 'Your brother has come back, and your father has slaughtered the calf that was fattened up, because he has gotten him back safe and sound.' But the older son became angry and refused to go inside. So his father came out and pleaded with him. 'Look,' the son answered, 'I have worked for you all these years, and I have never disobeyed your orders, but you have never even given me a young goat, so that I could celebrate with my friends. Yet this son of yours comes who squandered your property with prostitutes, and for him you slaughter the fattened calf. Son, you're always with me,' said the father, 'and everything I have is yours. We had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead, but has come back to life. He was lost, but now has been found.'" Amen. Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai make his face shine upon you and show you his favor. May Adonai lift up his face toward you and give you his shalom. Thank you again for joining us. Until next time, shalom.